Hi Frontline Church, it is great to be with you again today. Today's Moravian reading is from Mark chapter 6 and it's verses 1 to 12. This passage is split into two halves. The first where Jesus is speaking at his hometown in the synagogue, and the second part where Jesus sends out his disciples to preach the good news from town to town and village to village. Now, in that first section, we see that Jesus is not well received by the people in his hometown. Actually, he's really rejected. They are full of unbelief. And in fact, there's so much unbelief that Jesus struggles to perform miracles there. He actually finds it really hard. They refer to Jesus as just being a carpenter, just being Mary's son. They talk about how they, know his sisters. And I think it's unsurprising then that when you look at the second half of this passage, that Jesus then talks to the disciples about how they too will be rejected when they go to share the good news. I guess there's that saying, isn't there? Familiarity breeds contempt. That sometimes when you know somebody really, really well, you're not necessarily great at hearing from them and listening to them when they are bringing truth into your life. And I think with Jesus and the people at the synagogue, that's really what's happened there. So when we look at the second half, verses 6 to 12, where Jesus sends out his disciples, he gives them really clear instructions about what to do when you meet people who are not open to the gospel, people that reject the gospel and don't want anything to do with it. So I'm going to just read verse 11 out to you. And it says this: "But if any place refuses to welcome you or listen to you, shake its dust from your feet as you leave, to show that you have abandoned these people to their fate." And I think it sounds quite harsh, doesn't it? This idea about abandoning people to their fate. But I actually think that that's really about us as Jesus' disciples rather than it is about the people that we are going to. Because Jesus calls us, doesn't he, to really fix both our investment and our priorities where he fixes them. That's what it means for Jesus to be Lord of our lives. And what he's asking us to do is to invest in people who are open to the gospel, people that are interested in spiritual conversations, people that want to talk to you about your faith, that want to talk to you about what happened when you prayed. He wants us to invest in people that actually want to know him. We might maybe call them seekers, people that are spiritually aware and awake to the gospel. And that's where Jesus is asking us to invest our time. But he's also asking us to align our priorities with his. And his priorities are that we should seek after those people and leave behind those people that are not interested. Now, we're probably not actually going to be like shaking the dust off our feet as we necessarily leave people's houses. But there are going to be people who maybe we've invested in for a really long time and we've been spending time talking to them about Jesus, and they've made it really clear that they are not interested. I think it's important to note Jesus isn't saying you should stop being friends with them or that you should cut them off like as family members. But he is saying, let's not invest our time there. Let's keep our priorities on the people that really want to know. Because just like Jesus wasn't welcome in his hometown to speak the gospel, actually, that's true for us as well. The people that know us well or that have known us for a long time, close family members and long-time friends, often find it really hard to hear the good news from us. But what's really great is that we can rely on and we can trust in God. We know that he is a loving Father. And like all loving parents, he frequently has to say the same thing many, many times so that people can hear him. And so those people that we love and those people that we've been investing in for years, where maybe they're really not interested in the gospel, keep praying for those people. But trust that even though Jesus is asking you to move on and invest elsewhere, that he will send more people, more disciples into that place and to that people group to share the good news with them. He made, that verse says that we're to abandon them to their fate. But God doesn't abandon people. He asks us to leave and go elsewhere on our new journey, keeping him as our priority, but he sends others in our place to share the good news with those people. So I guess the thing today is just to say, don't be disheartened if you face rejection when you are sharing the good news with people. Actually, if Jesus was rejected by people in his own hometown, we can expect that there are going to be times where people reject us and our gospel message. But we can also be really encouraged that there are people who are actively seeking Jesus. And when we encounter those people, we can invest in them. We can welcome them into our communities. We can welcome them into a Christian family. We can disciple them into the kingdom because they are people that are looking for Jesus. And we get to be part of God's plan in bringing them into his family. So have a blessed day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.